Alright, so about 1 week ago, we had a new change to Prestige that, I mean, it's not unfair to say that it basically changed the name of the game with prestiging and how we can approach leveling in Season 9. So, the short recap, and in the end of the video, I'm gonna link the video where I talk about it. But when you prestige now, you get one extra ability scroll and 3 whole extra talent scrolls, and it's not a one time, it is permanent for every time you prestige from now on and the rest of Season 9. So what does this mean? It means that if you prestige 30 times, you get 30 ability scrolls and 90 talent scrolls. It is insane. And so how do we capitalize on this? Well, we speed level. We don't necessarily need to speed level, but if you really just want to progress this and have like giga many more scrolls for the remaining of your builds, then this is maybe the video for you. Alright, here in the background, footage of me trying to level fast with the Manastorm. Let me quickly go over with the new change, what I mean by speed leveling and what I'm gonna approach in this video. So it's gonna be a combination of having pre-acquired leveling gear, so you don't have to look for items while leveling, but you just have already good items and you have them already enchanted, like Heirlooms, so basically Twink Items and with very good enchants. You're gonna look for abilities and talents that are basically strong for leveling and basically the strongest, so you level as fast as possible. And you also want skills that while you level you can just use them on the go, you don't have to stop up and cast and such, so we're gonna look into what skills those are. And with all of these things combined, and when you have watched this video, I hope you learned a thing or two, so you can have your prestige runs just run a little bit faster. So let's get into it. Alright, if you're somehow not aware, we have a new feature in Season 9 called Manastorm. It's something you can queue to alone or in groups or a whole party or in raids. The Manastorm, it's a little layout from any classic dungeon where the goal is to find and kill the boss. It's pretty simple. When you do that, you get experience and sometimes you get a good reward. The layouts for Manastorms are random each time, and on higher levels there are some affixes, so it makes it kind of fun and interesting. Alright, but why is Manastorm my go-to way to level fast? It is consistent, somewhat. Sometimes you get a bad layout, sometimes you don't. We can somewhat work around with this by fishing for layout. That means if you get a really bad layout where there's a long way to the boss, you can just leave and you can go in again on a 2-minute downtime. Or you can die and you lose the debuff. So why are Manastorm so good compared to other leveling methods? If you're at like doing quests in the world and such, you're not waiting for respawns. You are not competing for mob tags. You don't have a queue timer while you're just sitting idle for dungeons and battlegrounds. And also you're gonna have teammates, and it's not all the time you get teammates with the same mindset of going super fast and they maybe just want to chill out. But if you have a potion running, it can be counter like intuitive of what each of your goals are. Alright, so quick summary what I'm gonna go over. You can also find these links in the description. Heirloom gear, having like 2 to 3 gear sets of Twink Items, all the leveling skills I'm gonna name in the video, so basically test and twist, so what you can be looking for and how you can test yourself, and yeah, Manastorm is fast. Alright, so why even min-max? Why go this like further distance for it? So the first pile mark you want to be hitting, if you're not already, is that you want to see if you can prestige under 1 hour mark for your Potion of Experience. Potion of Experience I'm going to talk about in a bit if you're not aware. So if your character is stronger, like better gear, better enchants, then you will also go faster. And you can maybe save up to 5 to 10 minutes each time, and it will really adds up if you're focusing on this particular to just increase your prestige level. And yeah, shorter runs. If you know you can do your prestige runs faster, you know you can probably fit it in before bedtime or having to go to work or anything like that. So it's more convenient to go start a run. And it can actually be quite fun to push, like test with your friends, test alone, see how fast can you actually go. Oh, damn, I got 20 minutes, I got 30 minutes, maybe I can improve it next time. Or I got some bad layout, I got some good layouts. So actually can be quite fun to min-max and like, yeah, speed running. It's random each time, somewhat. Sometimes you get good talent as well. Alright, the cheesy fun section. I really want to mention these kind of things because I'm not always like a min-maxer, even though I can sound like it, because I also really factor in like fun quite high when I play video games in general. So there's no right or wrong time to reach. I have to mention the 1 hour Potion of Experience. And also, if you're really like enjoying adventure modes and trials, go for it. You get some really nice rewards, and it's not always like needed to like really go super fast for those kind of activities. And also, you have to ask yourself, are you getting any marks for your run? If you're taking half an hour, if you are taking 1 hour maybe, are you also getting marks for that hour? And then it can be more beneficial to go a little bit slower, but get some marks from some of the trials and challenges you can take on in Ascension. And also, did you have fun doing the run? If you're just like feeling pure pain and suffer, oh, it's so dreading, it's boring, it's the same, maybe you should try different build, test some stuff, go for the build you actually want to go for instead. And yeah, use a build that you think is fun, so it's more fun to level. Maybe you go 10 minutes a bit slower, but if you're still like hitting the 1 hour mark for your Potion of Experience, well, who cares then? And yeah, hunting for good leveling items can actually be quite fun, I think, like improving your like leveling character. And keep in mind, it's a gear set you will save and keep and improve on during the whole of TBC that you can be using until then. Alright, what is another good reason to level fast? If you're leveling alts, I'm going to mention one other way to level these, but if you have a max level alt, it's a very good way to farm marks. These marks cannot be used on progressing a build, but they can be used on purchasing sealed packs and all stuff like that. I have a video for this as well. I'm going to link it in the description, so I'm not going to talk much about it, but alts is very good if you don't have a lot of sealed cards yet, skill cards. Alright, the Potion of Experience, you can buy this from Auction House. It's around 100 gold. It's 100% experience and is stacked with the next vanity item I'm going to mention, the Hour of Experience. So actually now by this change, Potion of Experience is a very good investment in your character. Like just chucking a potion level to 1 to 60 is actually a good investment, because even if you don't get a good build, you are still progressing your character and getting like the increased scrolls from your next prestige that is maybe going to be a bit better, and you have a bit more chances at 60 to hit some good abilities. So it also means with the Potion of Experience, there's a good pile mark. Try to hit your prestige under 1 hour. If you cannot really hit this benchmark yet, I would recommend wait a bit of levels to use your Potion of Experience. It's fine to use, if your build doesn't really have anything from level 10 on or from level 20 on, wait to use your Potion of Experience from level 20. Maybe you get Seal of Command, maybe you get Lava Sweep. Then it's fine to just take a chill, don't be on a timer where you build it the slowest. Wait for you to pop off with Lava Sweep, Seal of Command and stuff like that, and use your Potion of Experience there. And then it's much easier to like having Potion of Experience doing all of your leveling. Alright, the next thing I'm going to talk about is how we're getting the rest of the vanity items experience. There's two ways. Hour of Experience can be quite pricey on Auction House. Gonna mention a quick tip after this slide. So also we have Recruit a Friend, gonna mention that in a bit. But both of these ways, Recruit a Friend and Hour, gives 200% increased experience. They don't stack, so you have to use either one. So something people are using, and you can search for these groups in chat, you can host one yourself. It's called an hour split. It means that if you're like an example, if you're 5 players, full party, the owner or someone in the party provides the Hour of Experience, and each player just pays the like equal split, equal to how much they paid for the Hour of Experience in the auction house. And another example, if you're 3 players, then it will be around 300 gold, depending on what the prices are in the auction house. And sometimes people are also really don't care. They just, oh, I have this hour laying around, just give me 200 gold or 250. But keep in mind, it's very important to coordinate this and talk about this and agree upon how you want to split it. Alright, the Recruiter Friend, also short for RAF. It is a DP item, but you can often see these for gold on auction house. It is the same for Hour of Experience, but it only works for 1 to 50, so keep that in mind. The rest of the 10 levels will be without an hour, and it can be quite slow, but I'm also going to mention a way to work around this later. Alright, and when you buy this DP item, you will both get like a 2-person mount and a Scroll of Friendship, so you can also be looking out for this on the auction house. Keep in mind, this is, I think, the only mount in the game right now that is a 2-player mount, so basically one of the strongest mounts we actually have. And also keep in mind, the bonus experience doesn't work for TBC. This has never worked like this, and I think it's, to be fair, stupid, and I really hope they would change it. So yeah, that is just how it is. And yeah, as I said, 2-player mount. I think it's the only one in the game, so for that amount of DP, that's insane to helping a friend ride around if you're doing quests in the world. Another thing you get from RAF, you get Rune of Experience. These doesn't work with prestiges. Last time I checked, it is very good to level alls, but keep in mind it only works one way, so it depending on if you use the item on your friend or the other way around, and I can never remember what way you have to use it. But a good example, if you're 3 players, like use them on each other. So every one of you, if you're a 3-player group, maybe guildies or something, you can use them on each other. Alright, the Manastorm pots. This is one of the best ways to increase your leveling speed, and this is the thing you don't have from the start. Also the interrupt rod, I didn't mention it, but it's very good to have interrupts in Manastorm for free. So the best thing I want to recommend to buy first is a sprint serum. Some layouts in Manastorm are very tedious and takes a lot of time to get through, so having movement speed helps a lot. Other 4 potions you can buy is basically a permanent potion doing Manastorm. I would recommend trying to use a macro for it. I will link it in the description. You can either use or cast. I was just lazy when I added the last one I didn't have, so either one works. Alright, we also have something called adventure coin items. This I'm going to mention in a bit, but from here we basically can buy our best in slot necklace if you either attack power or spell power. The spell power is the one I would recommend, so you can wait a bit with the attack power one if you don't have many coins. And you can also buy a Stone of Retreat. It will help you a lot getting around in the starter zones, and I think Hordes have an equivalent one, probably to somewhere, maybe Crossroads, I don't know. And where do you buy this? I know for Alliance it's around the Manastorm hubs. You can just /target for Harrison Jones and he will sell them. I cannot show it because I bought them, so it will not show up for me. And how do you get adventure coins? I don't know if there's other ways, but you get them from adventure mode. So you can either do small runs. These mobs from adventure modes are insanely tanky and have big aggro range, are very pain in the somewhere below, and it is very hard challenge, especially on higher levels. On 10, 20 it's not that bad. Too long didn't read guide. Try to avoid too many kill quests, and Frostbolt is your friend because you can kite mobs. And yeah, really try to have a specific build for this if you are going for this approach. And I only did this one so I could get my necks, and then I have never done it since. And at some time I'm gonna do it again. It's a very good way to farm marks of Ascension and stuff like that, but I haven't had time to get around it. So very good and fun thing you can do in Ascension. Alright, other good vanity items we have. Bank Pet in Manastorm, where you can equip other sets, or you can even equip your level 60 item if you hit 60 before your friends in Manastorm. And we have Silas, very quick way to get your rerolls doing leveling if you want to do that. It's not that needed for speedrunning, because often when you speedrun you don't really care for your rerolls, so this is only if you also want to roll a build meanwhile running fast. And you can also look for the Stone of Retreat Ratchet, sometimes it's on sale. You don't really need this anymore because you and your friends or guildies can just, or yourself can just level to level 10 and then hit up Manastorm. So it is if you want to cross level together, or if you are slow leveling, maybe Resolute or something, I don't know, you can use Ratchet for 1 to 10. Alright, so let's talk about the gear, and it's a very very short answer. Spell power is currently the way to go because it just scales so well. It's higher stat on most of the gear I've seen. And yeah, so if you are strength edgy build and you want to benefit from the edgy attribute, you can just slot in mental quickness. And this is a quick overview on what Heirlooms we have. Heirlooms were introduced in 2 seasons ago, and it increases your experience with 3%. So that is on top of the potion of experience and the hour of experience. So you should really aim to get this. These are not like the heirloom pieces I would recommend necessarily. These are actually spirit pieces, so I think there's some that's better. Buy the ones you want to. Just like have a chest slot, have a shoulder slot. It doesn't really matter. As long as you have the increased experience, it should be very fine. Alright, and where do you buy heirlooms? You buy them next to the call board in capital cities. You can also get the token of prestige from 2 sources. Each day there's a daily rotating between like dungeons, battlegrounds, open world with net you more marks of ascension and token of prestige, and it's very easy to complete, so I would recommend to look out for when that is a prestige daily. And I would really suggest to try to get a single prestige in, and that is also a good time where you can use a speedrun, because if you don't really have a build you want to prestige and go for, it is fine to just chuck in a leveling build and just zoom through the prestige open world. And also a tip, if this the dungeon prestige daily, right now you can complete it with Manastorms. If you're Manastorming with layouts where you kill the final boss of the dungeon, I believe, This is, I don't know if this is a bug. I really don't hope it is, because I think it's very fine, because I don't think that many are doing dungeons anymore from my knowledge because of Manastorm now. So good tip to use. Alright, the gear and enchant section for the video, I'm gonna combine this into one to also mention the enchants. The off pieces is basically all of the items for your Twink set and how you increase your power level while leveling. That is not your heirloom items, because you also really want the experience from your heirlooms. So how do you get Twink items for other slots? You open either the adventure caches you get from quests, or you open Manastorm caches. Keep in mind that Manastorm caches can be brought from level 60 back when you prestige to level 1. So something I do, and I think I can maybe show it in the clip here, is that I bring a lot of Manastorm caches back from 60 to level 1 in prestige and just open them all, see if I get some good leveling items. This is the best way I found. Maybe there's others. So a good example how strong level 1 items can be. This is a level 1 helm, like giving 9 spell power. This is insane, and I think it's very fun that we have this option now to having fun and having some power for our leveling. And if you are like going for bigger level bracket, more on this in a bit, you can also open them later on, or you can find these on auction house. I think 27 is the auction house price and the original item level of the item, so keep that in mind when you look for them. And any item that works. It doesn't need to be Holy Shroud for your helm. Any other item can work. When you're starting out and fishing for these items, you're probably gonna have a hit with 3 or 4 spell power, and then later on you can upgrade it. So also keep that in mind when you choose to enchant them. So yeah, just go for the high spell power one. And item level 1 sets are good if you're going for a challenge, adventure mode, slow leveling like Resolute. It's a very good way to just have like a very strong character from the get-go. And also for level 1 set, it's basically equip and forget. You equip a level 1 set, and whenever you feel like, oh damn, my character feels weak now, you can equip your stronger set. My suggestion is level 30 and 50 are good breakpoints. I'm gonna get more into it in a bit, but 30 just halfway through level, 1 to 60, you're halfway. Good point to be stronger. And 50 is where you lose Wrath, and it's just the last levels there can be quite mobs can be quite strong. So a good time to upgrade your character as well. And it is okay to spend gold for good pieces if you find them or can trade them. Keep in mind when you trade these level 1 items or mail them around to your other characters, there's a chance that they will break and bug back to the original item level. So keep that in mind and be aware. So I think they're basically soulbound, that you should not trade them, but just so you are aware of this issue. Also another quick mention, some of these items, when you get them and it seems too good to be true, there was a bug with this earlier, try to equip them and see if they actually give the power, because sometimes it says like 16 spell power, but it actually doesn't give you anything, so keep that in mind when you equip them. Alright, and another mention before going into the items, let me just say, heirlooms are bad. Like, look at this heirloom item at level 60, giving 12 spell power. This level 1 item gives like even more spell power, and this level 32 item gives 32 spell power. So keep in mind when you're choosing to have Twink items or use the heirlooms, is the spell power you lose worth it compared to 3% experience? That is up for you to decide. I'm still using heirlooms because of the experience, because I don't think the spell power matters that much, but that is something you can twist around with. Alright, the helmet slot, we don't have any enchant. These are some item names you can go for. As I said earlier, like this item have 9 intellect, but it doesn't have that much spell power. So, but it's still a fine. Like if this is your first helm you get from a box, this is very good helm, like 3 spell power compared to no helmet. Cloak, like 4 spell power you can get from a level 1 cloak. Enchant, superior defense is the one I use to get more armor, because you take a lot of hits in Manastorm. Alternatives are less agility, especially if you're going for a melee version. And also this Caretaker's Cape, you can buy it from honor points, and there's also like level brackets for this, like 28, 38, 48. So good suggestion would be 28 and 48 if you want to hit the level brackets, I recommend. But keep in mind you will bloat your inventory with this, so be mindful. Wrist, one of the strongest pieces we have, because this is the one place where we can put healing power enchant. This is the strongest enchant we have for leveling besides the weapons. It's 15 spell power. It is quite pricey, but keep in mind, leveling item and twink items you will have for the rest of the season. So it's a very good investment because you're going to prestige a lot, try new builds or fish for your perfect build and stuff like that, and maybe just like increase your prestige level. So investment in this is very good. Other alternative, you don't have that amount of gold right now. Budget option, superior stamina for more health, and attack power version for superior strength. This should also, the attack power should also increase your spell damage, so keep that in mind. Alright, our gloves enchants. This is an example gloves I just bought off auction house. Don't have better gloves right now, I think. Best in slot enchant is 16 spell power, but we don't have that yet. We will have it when AQ Ruins release. That is tier 2.5, when the opening of Temple of Anchorage and stuff like that, the pre-event for the raids. I don't know what it's called, the opening ceremony something, where you get the black bug mount. I'm a noob at that point. Alright, we also, another example I found was the Serpent Gloves. So level 1 item with 5 spell power, so very nice to hunt for the good items. Alright, other budget enchants until we get the 16 spell power. Greater strength for more attack, also work for spells I believe, and minor haste. Alright, belt slot, this is just an example for a name you can look for. I think this is on auction house as well. There's currently no enchants for leveling. They removed the high risk enchant ones. It's a shame. It was quite fun to min-max on that as well. And you can see the different tiers again on level 1 and level 20 item. Here for the legs, you can see I recently found these level 1 legs with 10 spell power. These are insane. Keep in mind when you look for good items, some items have like stamina, some have more armor, some even have like PvE power. So PvE power can be even better than 1 spell power. Keep that in mind. Also another example legs, like when you compare, are you getting stamina, are you getting intellect for your item? So more intellect means you can spam more spells. Alright, and the boot slot, this is also random boots I bought off auction house, 5 spell power. And enchants for boots are greater stamina for more health, and minor speed for go faster. Alright, ring slot, we don't have enchants yet. At some point we will maybe get ring enchants, but it is, I don't know when we got these last time, but it's not that important. It's basically 1 stat, so not really a big deal. Later on in TBC we will have, I think, 8 spell power if you have enchanting, so already now it's a very good idea to get the golden pearl for enchanting for TBC, because spell power for your rings are going to be insane. So with the Lawkeeper rings here, you are able to equip 2 of them in both your ring slots. You can buy them from honor points. But alternatives, I recently got these today. These are very nice from level 1, and I basically don't have to upgrade my rings for a long time, but like spell power rings for level 1 is insane. Very nice and very strong to have. Alright, weapons. This is probably the most impactful slot we have, because we can get the strongest enchants for our whole of our character, so it's the best place to invest. And if you can buy the heirlooms and you don't have started to do it yet, the weapons are the strongest slot you can start with. We can get the enchant healing power or spell power. It is in theory the same enchant, but the healing power is cheaper to craft, so keep that in mind, but it will net the same. And alternatives for melees. I think melee should also probably just use spell power, because spell power also increase your attack power and weapon damage, so yeah, that is for you to test and decide. But I haven't used these, but it's a good alternative, especially if you are melee build. Crusader enchant and plus 15 strength from Forian Brotherhood, I believe. As you see here in the picture, I still have my offhand equipped, but I think a stronger option is just to have like a one-handed heirloom items with 13 spell power. So by this you get 30 spell power, and as you saw before, this offhand only have 12 spell power, so actually quite a lot more. And I think you only get crit from having an offhand. And if you are leveling with Flame Tongue or like Firestones, any of those kind of things, you actually get a lot more spell power from using Flame Tongue on your offhand as well. Alright, and I'm gonna quickly mention this, and you also probably thought, well, why haven't you mentioned High Risk Enchant? It is the same as the Crusader Enchant. I am not the biggest fan of unprocs effect while I level, because when I get to the boss, I really want to have all of my potential DPS and stuff like that, and I don't want to kill one mob, proc my enchant, and then go for the next 10 to 15 seconds and don't have any spell power increase. So I just want the consistency of the healing power one. But this is, you are free to choose all of the high risk enchants. There's some very good ones. I think it's called Overwhelming Assault and Lucid Assault. These are the spell power options. But yeah, as I said here, I don't like the consistency. Alright, and recap of the gear brackets, and I'm gonna mention this again in a bit, but level 1, if you have level 1 items, equip and forget, very nice, very smooth playstyle. Level 10, you don't really need to have any items between level 1 and level 10 or even level 15. You can just wait to equip all of your items at level 10, 15, and it's very fine. Like especially the rings are level 18 you can equip from the start, so having a level 18 equipment set are totally fine. Level 13, like having a good baseline, just getting some increased power during your leveling is very nice. And level 50 are quite late to equip items, and you are only having 10 levels back, but if you're like using recruiter friends, it is kinda a lot slower, so killing mobs faster and getting these last 10 levels in can be very beneficial to have an equipment set for that. Alright, and I talked brackets. What are these brackets beside 30 is halfway and 50 is the recruiter friend? Also sometimes, and I talked about this, when should you use your potion of experience? If you are leveling with a certain build that maybe first pop off at level 14 or level 20, as I said with Seal of Command, maybe it's a better way to just like having all of your equipment items at level 20 and just getting Seal of Command, equipping all of your level 20 stuff, and just really go zoom from that on. And an example, maybe you have like a secret tech I don't know of. Like an example could be maybe you are Hellfire build that can level insanely fast that I haven't tested. So maybe you want your items to all be level 30 so you can really pop off when you get your Hellfire at level 30. Also another good like breakpoint could also be 40. It's also very middle way because I'm also going to talk about this later, but when are your items actually getting stronger compared to level 1 versus level 30 items? Are you getting enough spell power compared to, is it worth to having a whole equipment set? So, because as you can see here, how stronger are your items getting from each level? This is just an example, but you are like getting a lot of armor compared to the level difference, but the amount of spell power is not that much. You have to ask yourself this question: how much is it worth to sacrifice the backspace? I am always tight on backs, and I really can't have like 5 item sets so I upgrade my character each second. It would be the fastest, but also consider, is it worth your backspace to have so many item set? So again, maybe 3, max 4, I would say, item sets. And if you're starting out, like just having a level 1 item set is very fine. Alright, to recap my suggestion, level 1, as I say, equip and forget. So you're just having a lot of items you can use for the first many levels. And then when your character wears off in power, it's very good to have like a halfway mark, especially because the mobs will start to hit a lot. So like having the armor from the 27, 30 items can be quite strong to not getting, not one shot, but like molested by the Manastorm mobs, as you say in the nicest way. And level 50 can also be a suggestion. 40 would also work. 40 is some strong pile levels like Arcane Power, Arcane Orb, where you get some power spikes. So also a good way to combine power spikes from abilities with equipping your power spikes. It also a very good reminder when you see, oh, because you often level so fast that, oh, now I'm getting Arcane Orb. Well, this means that I'm level 40, and it's a very nice reminder that, oh, I can also equip my items now. So very smooth experience by this. Alright, and again, I talked about this earlier, but how do you get the Twink items? You get them from 2 ways, and you can also buy them from Auction House, of course, and the honor points. But adventure caches is from quests. These are better to open at higher levels because you don't get that many from lower levels. And Manastorm caches are very good to bring to your Prestige and open them at level 1 so you can get the level 1 Twink items. And I really don't hope they remove this because I think it's a very fun way to min-max your leveling and it doesn't really matter that much. And both of these caches are based on the level you open them in. So if you open the cache at level 10, you will get level 10 items. And keep in mind the adventures caches, it makes sense you cannot bring these to level 1 because these items contains Case of Fortune. So that is why, I believe. Alright, and to recap, overview of the level brackets again. Level 50 is if you're having a struggle at the last 10 levels because Wrath ended and you don't have 200% increased experience. It is a good way to have better items. Alright, and the last tip, save time, have equipment sets, so you just equip your whole set and you can move on doing the leveling. Remember to upgrade your sets when you get new upgrades for your items, so it will not equip old items or failing to find the items. And again, yeah, level 1, 30, 50, etc. So to recap, item names shown are just suggestions. Some of them are obviously stronger, like the helm you saw. It's a very strong helm, but it doesn't need to be that. Don't flood your inventory with items. You don't need to have millions of items for every level, but certain breakpoints is very nice to increase your power level. And as you saw on some of the helmet and the items, some of the items, and sometimes there are just not much power level between a level 1 item and level 10 item, so it doesn't really require to have both a level 1 set and a level 10 set. You can wait a few levels to upgrade them. And spending gold is okay. Keep in mind, if you find like you are dreaming items for the level, it is very fine because you're going to keep this item for the rest of, all of season 9, and that is probably 1 year, 1 year and a half. So yeah, it's very okay to spend gold. Alright, cards and talent. Ignore this section if you're prestiging for a certain build. It is often not that much of a big difference. Often the gear and just having twink items can really improve your leveling speed. So it's not always like needed to go your way out and equipping spells and equipping talents that you really don't need for the build you actually want to try to roll. Keep in mind, you're getting the prestige increases, the prestige level anyway, so often it's actually just better to progress your build. But you just have to decide this each time you prestige, and it can be more fun to play like a certain build, like a certain playstyle compared to just a leveling build, and it's not that much slower. And sorry for the mistyping, but it's not that much slower to level an actual build compared to a leveling build. Alright, and I waited to have this slide, but we're gonna talk about the Eleg in the room. Fel Infused weapon are very strong. There are currently no way to buy it. It is something to take up again as a discussion, I guess, but yeah, to be fair, it's probably getting nerfed. I think Dutch have taken a lot of builds out in the back room and brought out the pistol, but Fel Infused weapon have been mentioned to getting some nerfs, especially when dual wielding, so you don't have to, it doesn't matter that much, and I'm gonna provide a very good spellcast alternative if you don't have Fel Infused in weapon that doesn't really require anything special to be rolled. So yeah, it is not the end of the world if you don't have this. Alright, so the build for Zoom, I'm gonna break them up into 2 categories. The one is the mental quickness version, where you just have mental quickness or lower version of it. It is fine if you don't have the max version. And the other version is just pure spellcaster. Having Twisted Mind, having Fel Tongue weapon, you can of course also have that with the melee versions. But just to separate the 2 categories a bit, and I'm gonna show it here. So, Fel Infused weapon, I would basically call this cookbook to cook with Fel Infused weapon in 1,000 ways, or also how to abuse this overpowered skill in 1,000 ways. Now we can actually talk about it because Fel Infused weapon are mentioned to be nerfed, and we all really knew about this. So Whirlwind, Fel Infused weapon, it is very strong and fun to play, like swirling around, one-shotting a pack with Whirlwind. I didn't mention Divine Storm here, but Seal of Command gonna like cover this. Fan of Knife, I know not all of you have this, so there will be alternatives. You don't have Fan of Knife. Sinister Strike, very good to compare Sinister Strike and Double Down with Fan of Knife because it's energy spending ability. The 2 feral forms actually very strong to basically, I guess, abuse Fel Infused weapon, and that is the name of the game right now. So also keep in mind, I'm gonna ping in the comments if Fel Infused weapon are gonna get nerfed. And also let me say, when you see this video, if you don't see it by the day I'm sending it out, most likely Fel Infused weapon are getting nerfed. I'm gonna see if I can comment about this in the pinned section in the comments, but yeah, just assume it's a little bit worse than it is when I talk about it and hype it up this much. But luckily we have some very strong spellcast alternatives. Arcane Explosion, Starburst. Starburst is very fun and very skillful to try to master while leveling. I enjoy it a lot. Flameburst is my go-to. It is a flame strike with instacast. It is very strong to just do big AoE damage. Holy Nova Dark Transfusion. This is actually just an example. I haven't tested this, but just to show that you can level with any caster skill you want, because there are some very strong procs. Gonna talk about them in a bit. But if you're wanting to level with a holy style, can totally go for anything you want. And just like buffing spell power, Twisted Mind, Flame Tongue, the strongest things we have to do this. Alright, the spellcaster section for the video, and it's basically the same for the melees because we have some very strong procs in season 9, and yes, we are gonna abuse the shit out of them to level because damn, are they making the game fun? I'm not sure, but they're heck strong to level with. Alright, and let me say, if you don't have all of these you can get, I'm gonna show in a bit, but any of these works. Whatever you have of the procs in golden, they are mighty fine to use. Some of them are a bit less powerful than others. Purification by Light doesn't hit for that much, but are still a very nice proc effect, depending on what skill you choose to use. Alright, and here are all the procs we currently have in Season 9. There are probably others that I forgot, but then they are probably not that important if we didn't remember them. But here's a list. Keep in mind, if you're using the Spellslinger ones, you need the Arcane Concentration or some way to get clear casting. But if you can get that, these are also some of the strongest damage you can get. Alright, and tip, if you're using the Legacy of the Arcanist, this is very strong. It is currently not anything you can get from the world with the Discord, also linked in the below, where you can find the enchants. But Legacy of the Arcanist you cannot find, but if you have it, it can be very strong and fun to cast the Meteors, proccing it from, for example, Moonfire, Flameburst, Earthshock, Fel Strike, I believe, and maybe the last one could be Cone of Cold, but that is for you to test if you use the Legacy of the Arcanist. Alright, but luckily we have some enchants you can go get. These 3 you can just find in the world. Seething Flames you can find near the Blackrock Mountain, near the Molten Core raid, and all of the like really peak dungeons from Classic. The Stormbringer, this can be a long journey to get. I am not aware, maybe you can find it in Manastorm as well if you find the right layout. Maybe you can queue for the dungeon. The last one is Aman'Thul's Malediction. I tested this today and found out that this does crazy amount of damage apparently. I think it's AoE damage, but I had this, but I think you can get it, as someone said in the Discord, you can get it from Death Singers in Eastern Plaguelands. And normally these farms are not that bad. It is around 30 minutes to 1 hour, depending on how many people are doing it. Alright, and when we talk Spellcaster, if you're not slotting in abilities and stuff that do damage, I would suggest the other things to slot in are stuff that increases that damage. So like Twisted Mind, insane spell power, Flame Tongue Weapon, more spell power, and Arcane Orb to abuse all the procs, and very fun to use. And here I'm gonna show a clip of me how you use Arcane Orb. I suggest you don't shoot the Arcane Orb through the mobs, but instead you try to kite the mobs to an edge, and you try to gather them up and hit the Arcane Orb to the edge, so it will hit the mobs multiple times and also proc multiple times. Alright, here is the first Spellcaster version build layout. So this, I've basically called it Flameburst because it's the first level 10 ability you get. So Fel Strike has a so long cooldown, but it's very nice to clean up mobs, do some extra damage to the boss and stuff like that. And when we hit 40 and we level a bit slower, we get Arcane Orb, and that is such a big like damage when we can use it right, as you saw in the clip. And here you can see I also just slotted in like Seething Flames, Aman'Thul's Malediction, Stormbringer, actually the enchants we get for free. And for the golden cards you can just use anything. I just slotted in 3 different ones. Lunar Guidance for free spell power, can be any of the procs you saw before, just whatever you have. These are the alternatives. Ignite from the Flameburst, Firepower to increase Flame Strike damage from Flameburst, and Lunar Guidance again. Just whatever talent you have in golden will work. But yeah, abusing the procs is the name of the game while leveling. Alright, and this is the other version I've tested and works mighty fine. Starburst Arcane Explosion to just go around in AoE. You can also, instead of Flame Tongue Weapon, you can use Arcane Orb. Instead of Arcane Explosion, you can use Arcane Orb. And again, if you don't have any of these legendaries and golden cards, maybe you have some of the talent that increases Arcane Explosion's damage instead. So these are mighty fine to slot in instead. And the last build I'm gonna show is the best one of them all. It is the Be Creative, and oh damn, we hate when he say that, because are we gonna test stuff ourselves? Yes, I haven't tested all of these skills. The sacrifice to actually test other stuff is not that big. Like Chain Lightning is such a fun skill to use and does so much damage, and there's some strong talents for it, so it can be very good. Cone of Cold, just one click, big AoE. There's some very strong talents to it. We can just spam it. Also cooldown reduction from random enchants, so could be very fun. I haven't tested it, but it's just to say, should also not trash out anything I haven't mentioned in this video, because there are still some very strong skills To be fair with Chain Lightning, keep in mind that you want to focus on skills when you test them that can be used while you move, so you can keep moving, and Chain Lightning you have to stand still. Chain Lightning you can use with like Avatar, Lightning, Elemental Mastery, so can be good if you have that combo, and you can reset the cooldown even. Alright, so to the melee section, this is the if you have Fel Infused Weapon, and for the Sinister Strike version, this is also a bit better if you have the Fan of Knife, but you can very easily play this without the Fan of Knife. And again, since we're using the Mental Quickness to scale off spell power, Twisted Mind is again the go-to, and it's not needed, but Eclipse Strike can also be good instead of Sinister Strike because it scales a bit better than Sinister Strike with spell power. Double Down makes our Sinister Strike hit twice, so we get 2 Fel Infused Weapon and we get 2 Dark Intent each time we hit with Sinister Strike. Any energy region, any unprocs effect works. This is just an example. This is not the set in stone best Sinister Strike leveling. Overheated Strikes, to be fair, and I finally got this, and if you have it, it is very nice and strong. If you don't have it, it's not the end of the world. Any proc effect will work. So as I say here, these all three are free to get legendary effects to use. So, and for the energy slots, and often you have a lot of these energy cards for golden slots, and you need a lot of energy region to even spam these skills. So keep that in mind. You cannot slot all proc effects, but you need to also be like able to use your Sinister Strike all the time, else you're not doing any damage anyway. So keep in mind you need energy for the Sinister Strike version. Alright, and the reason I'm also going to mention this is the Double Down you are able to find. It is outside the coast of the big nice jungle outside of Sanglethorn Vale. You can just go grab it from the Titanic. Alright, the bear version, this is not tested that much by me. It is tested 1 or twice, mostly by my friend. So it's not that fine-tuned. So again, test. This is a recommendation. I think the Survival Instinct are the weakest of this bunch because it's the lowest, it is the highest cooldown. So, but Fel Infused Weapon, mandatory basically to even do damage. Enrage, a very good way to gain Rage, and Rage is the name of the game because you want to be swiping. Friends Eye Regeneration, a very good defensive cooldown, so you don't die. And also if you play in a group, you are going to be the tank if you're bear form because you generate a more threat, so keep that in mind. Anger Management, very strong to have swipe and have rage up. That is the most important thing when playing a bear form. When we tested it, you're going to be rage staffed a lot, and I also suggest carding, using enchants that give you more rage, like Anger Management enchants. Ferocity, reducing the rage cost of swipe. Natural Reaction, just to gain more rage. And else, anything that says bears works. Savage Defense if you want to be more tanky. Corrupted Bear, damage, Tainted Swipe, damage, but it can also be any of the procs effect works. And now you maybe be thinking, you didn't mention cat form. Yes, we haven't tested enough to work, but it's very strong with the Fel Infused Weapon again. We don't have a set of talents you can copy it for. So basically, but the same again, procs effect, swipe works, and I'm gonna mention how you can start cat form. Alright, so this is the other version of melee I could found that works. So this will require you to have the Wind Strike to be very optimal, and here I'm gonna show what the level 1 talents you're probably gonna need. I don't think, and I'm not sure you're gonna need Blood Rage to use the Whirl of Rage. Whirl of Rage make you gain free Blood Rage when you Whirlwind, and Raging Winds are pretty important. It reduces the cooldown of Whirlwind. So a very strong other option if you don't have the Fan of Knife and you still want to do AoE damage. And this is the other version, not that heavily on AoE because you cannot spam Whirlwind that much, but you can still, it's still 4-second cooldown or something. So instead, another option I would suggest is Titanic Mutilate, but you could instead also use Sinister Strike and Double Down. That should work mighty fine to get the Fel Infused Weapon proc and hitting with 2 weapons with Titan's Grip. Almost same talents. Remorseless Attacks is a very good combination with the Titanic Mutilate, and inspiration and credit to Brian T to show this in another video for Resolute. Alright, and I promised a few to mention a Paladin build. This is not tested. I threw it to a friend that plays Paladin a bit, and he didn't have much critique to it, so I think you should be fine with this. Fel Infused Weapon again, I don't think it's needed. If you have Flame Tongue instead, it should be fine. Seal of Command, Divine, basic Paladin stuff. I think you also scale from Twisted Mind, Mental Quickness. One with the Light, the go-to Paladin stuff. You can find this in the Discord, link below. Powerful Divine Storm because you're gonna do more AoE in Manastorms. Seal of Pure, Seal of Command damage, and Weapons Plasticization. This one is very flexible. This can be any proc effects, I believe. So this one is the weakest one of them all, I believe. But again, haven't played Paladin, this is just a suggestion. If you are gonna level and have a Paladin anyway, you can use this. So the last tips for the build section. When you're carding a talent that is all level 10 requirement, you will not get them all at the same time, but you can determine what order you get them in. I'm pretty sure it works this way. So if you have Fel Infused Weapon in the first slot, I think it goes this way. Maybe it is 1, 2, 4, 3, but again, test it. But I know for sure that you always get the top left one. So if you have Sinister Strike from level 1, it is better to have Fel Infused Weapon. And as I said before, with the 2 different spellcaster version and the third one where you basically test yourself, so how I test stuff, I still go to my core of these 2 things I know will level me fast, like Flameburst, and then I swap out Arcane Orb and I test a new skill to just see how it feels. Is it fun? Is it interesting to cast? Does it actually do damage and stuff like that? So yeah, basically swap 1 card out to test the damage, test the smoothness, test the feeling in the rotation when you run, can you hit the mobs with it, and is it fun to use? Alright, and for the starter section of the video, I didn't include this during the builds, but for when we are speedrunning and you don't like Prestige for build, we basically always take charge. It has 2 charges, so you can use it twice in a row, and it's just so nice to get around for the speed, so you basically always take this, even though if you're like a caster build. Another one, Moonfire, very good to clean up mobs, to get some extra dot damage on the boss, and to proc the proc effect, very strong. And to what can you combine these 2 with? This is kinda always my go-to, also to tag mobs quickly while leveling before Manastorm. The Darker Prophecies and Immolate, very strong. If you don't have a tank in your group, it's a very nice way to always make sure you have a tank for your groups, and free AoE from Immolate. So this is basically one version I would recommend. Keep in mind that you cannot use Twisted Mind for Darker Prophecies. It is a stance like Twisted Mind, so it doesn't work. Alright, for the version 2, you can instead choose to have any spammable ability. I think Wrath is the strongest one. Arcane Missiles, I feel proccing more of the procs effects, so this is just to have more damage on the bosses. So any one of these works. If you're like Legacy of the Arcanist and you don't have a Frost skill, Frostbolt can be very nice to proc the Frost Meteor. And what do I fill it out with for the rest? I basically just pick a buff unless there's anything other important that I really want for level 1. And I personally doesn't prefer pets while leveling because they pull and other shit, and I don't want to use a macro to like manage them and keep them in bay, else I have to put them down. So for the version 2, that is basically it. And then for the starter melee abilities, we have again charge for every one of these. Basically for the cat form, bear form, it is the same. If you're bear form, you always have swipe, and same goes for cat for the AoE. So any of these works for bear form. Maul, if you have spare rage to spend, it replaces your auto attack. More stamina can be good. Aspect of the monkey to have more dodge. More dodge also means you generate more rage from natural selection, I believe. And cat form, basically the same. Here you can basically pick claw if you want something to generate combo points with. And if you just want damage for some reason, any of the buff works. Alright, for the Sinister Strike plus Fan of Knife, there's not many good abilities to pick for this. Heroic Strike is one, I don't think I mentioned it here. Charge Sinister Strike, if you're picking Eclipse Strike at level 10 and you're leveling very fast, you maybe don't need Sinister Strike at level 1, but then you have to go around an auto attack for 10 levels. If you're doing that, you should probably be leveling with one of the feral builds, because these builds are very fast for the 1 to 10 levels, because they have AoE before level 10 as the only spec basically right now. And for the last abilities, I often just pick Moonfire again for the procs and stuff like that. Arcane Intellect scales very good with the spell power. And yeah, as I mentioned here with the Eclipse Strike. Alright, so is there a conclusion for leveling build? I have to ask the question, is it worth to level fast? I guess I throw this out to you because you have to ask yourself, when is it worth to level fast? If you can level in like 20 to 30 minutes, are you getting marks from it? Are you getting a build you can use afterwards? I mean, some of these builds can be transitioned into a build, like the bear form, like the cat build is a fire car something build apparently. Sinister Strike is actually a strong build, basically from the talents I shown, and yeah, Is it worth to just do this for the progress? You have to ask yourself this. In my opinion, I think it's worth it when I have the time for it and when the prestige daily is there. And you also gonna look at the perspective, are you having fun with this? If you don't have fun with this, I would strongly advise against doing this, because it can be very tedious, because leveling is never fun. So I think it's very fun to hunt for twink items, like getting these small upgrades, see how much damage I can do at lower levels. I think it's amazing. Beat the timer, see, I mean, for my own personal, like, see how fast I can do one leveling, getting those good layouts, don't have to run too much, getting stockades over and over in Manastorm, and just zooming through the levels. But at the end of the day, I guess if you just hit 60, and again, if you can do it under the 1 hour, you are good. You are getting scrolls for your spec, you're getting progression for all of your specs in the future. And as I said, you're basically getting 4K marks from every other prestige you're doing in the future. So very worth. And by that, let me say big thanks for you watched to the end of this video. This video took a crazy amount of time and research to make. So if you stuck to the end, consider subscribing. I'm gonna try push out some of these bigger, more in-depth video more when I have time to it. And if you don't subscribe, I still appreciate you being here. And we are also very close to the 1,000 subscribers, and I have a giveaway coming out when we hit the 1,000 subscribers, so it's gonna be very fun to see what's gonna happen when we hit that. And yeah, by that, again, thanks a lot for watching. The video here on the screen now will be about the prestige change and my reaction to it, if you have not seen it already. And if not, thanks again, and see you in the next one.